something horrible happened a little after the new Apple Watch Series 9 came out. My watch, an almost 3-year-old Series 6, would make a weird sound whenever I touched the screen. It felt loose right up until the moment when I could pull it off entirely. The screen's come off. How'd that happen? It is weird. I'm not sure if it's the battery expanding or if all that COVID hand washing soap ate away the adhesive, but I can't use my Apple Watch anymore. That does bring up an interesting question. Should I fix my 3-year-old Series 6 Apple Watch, or is the Series 9 compelling enough for me to buy a new one? One thing I've been curious about since starting this job is the longevity of Apple products. It's why I refrained from upgrading to the 2nd-gen AirPods Pro despite them being so much better. It's why I'm back to using this iPhone 12 mini every day, and it's why I kept using the Apple Watch Series 6 until now. There have been many upgrades to the Apple Watch in the past 3 years, but none of them have really moved the needle for me, except for the bigger screen maybe. There were a few periods where my batteries below 90% capacity state would leave me stranded at the end of the day, but somehow that would fix itself after an OS update. So even 3 years later, while my life would improve with a battery replacement, I could live without one, but we're getting close. I can't, however, live with the screen coming off. So I booked a battery replacement appointment at the Apple Store in hopes that they would simply fix the battery and screen in one go. I mean, half the work is done, right? Well, I did make an appointment for a battery replacement.
We don't do any repairs on the watch.
It's pretty old.
We would replace it.
And it's gonna take a few days as well. But what about getting a new Apple Watch Series 9 instead? There are improvements here. The new S9 chip, which you should know is the first actual CPU upgrade in years, a new gesture interaction method called Double Tap, an ultra-wideband upgrade, and new for 2024, a deactivated blood oxygen sensor, only for Americans. Yes. That story. Basically last year, the US International Trade Commission, ITC, ruled that Apple violated 2 blood oxygen sensor patents owned by Masimo, a health technology company that also owns Bowers & Wilkins for some reason. Anyway, Apple is appealing this ruling, but they have been denied the request that the import ban be lifted for the duration of the appeal. Not even Joe Biden was willing to veto the ruling. So that's why Apple has deactivated the sensor, and it could take upwards of a year for this to get fully resolved. That would have been a point for my old Series 6, which was the first to introduce the feature, except for the fact that here in Canada, the blood oxygen sensor is still functional on new watches. Well, sort of. I skimmed over some studies to see how well the Apple Watch compares to conventional pulse oximeters, which read from the tip of your finger, which is a more accurate place to measure. Unsuccessful. Well, while the Apple Watch can provide accurate readings, it can also provide scary low readings in healthy individuals too. It's why Apple's website has the fine print that says, "Blood Oxygen app is for wellness purposes only and not for medical use." It's why Masimo's CEO is amusingly saying that users are better off without it, and it's why I don't care. Speaking of the tip of your finger, simply by pinching it twice with your thumb, you can do simple actions with your Apple Watch using Double Tap. Be it answering your phone, scrolling through your widgets, controlling music, and dealing with messages. It's very low res, only able to activate one thing depending on your state. Save for a few false positives, it does work quite well. But despite wearing this watch for months, I have yet to be in a situation where my hands are full and it helps. Though I will say if I was a jogger, which I am not, double tapping to skip a song while jogging would be really convenient. Oh, though be aware, that's not the default setting. The upgraded ultra-wideband chip will help you precision find your iPhone should you misplace it, but because it's only supported on the U2 chip, only users of an iPhone 15 and newer can take advantage of it. I think one of the biggest reasons why you'd want to get a Series 9 is because of the chip upgrade. It's noticeably faster than my Series 6, doing just about everything. Apple tends to support devices with significant chip jumps the longest, though at this point software support clearly outlives the battery and adhesive anyway. To reduce their carbon emissions calculations with the Series 9, Apple no longer sells any leather watch bands. Instead, we get the fine woven magnetic link band. It is indeed fine, but I'm really going to miss Apple's take on leather. Luckily, if you do want a leather watch band, consider this video's sponsor, Bandwork. Since 2015, quality has been the name of the game for Bandwork. It's why their bands, made in Germany, use leather sourced from tanneries in the US and Italy. There are a lot of nice options, and I especially appreciate how you can order your band with a clasp that matches any Apple Watch case, new or old. even the Ultra. Not even Apple's Hermes bands offer that level of customizability. You can learn more about how to spruce up your old watch at the link below. Oh, I got an email from Apple. 4 days late. We need to hear from you. Our technicians have completed a diagnostic repair of your product. I don't like the sound of this. Well, it turns out that according to Apple's technicians, my Apple Watch has a damage/dent/gouge on the display. No, the adhesive came off. This means that my $100 battery replacement has been categorized as a $400 other damage, which is the same price as a new Series 8 at openbox.ca. And because I'm dealing with the bureaucratic nature of a large, powerful corporation, I cannot appeal. I can, however, ask questions. Here's one. Should we reform the ITC court so that Apple can only ask questions about their patent infringement ruling? I don't know if you noticed, but I'm actually wearing the first MAC address merch on lttstore.com. It's the Steve turtleneck, and it comes in tall sizes. Apple's reticence to repair my watch comes from the fact that they don't repair anything, only replace. And that's so strange to me. Watch repair has been a part of timekeeping for centuries, and yet the largest company in the world can't engineer a watch that they would feel confident repairing. Apple made a big deal that this watch with the woven band is completely carbon neutral, and that's great. But I mean, repairing a watch emits way less emissions than replacing one. Hi, I'm here to pick up a repair. Let's take a look here. Since the Genius Bar is useless, I'm gonna go to an independent repair shop. I wasn't expecting this to become a repairability gripe video, but alas. It's taken almost 2 weeks for Apple to support me. This repair shop will fix my Apple Watch in a few hours, despite Apple's onerous restrictions on parts and access to manuals. It's good to have the old watch back, and for almost $75 as well. Now, I do have to admit it wasn't the cleanest repair. I did have to remove some excess adhesive from the digital crown, and I have to accept that water resistance isn't guaranteed. But like, after 3 years, it clearly didn't hold up from the factory either. The battery, however, is performing quite well, though I think the Series 9 is a little better. This in spite of the fact I was using the smaller model. I do, however, much prefer the larger size of my older Apple Watch, even if the thicker bezels means this old screen is only marginally bigger than the smaller Series 9. I'm also missing out on the on-screen keyboard. The decision between fixing this old Apple Watch and replacing it with a $400 new one, for me, is easy. Fix it. A battery is a consumable like car tires, and Apple Watches get 5 years of software updates now, so everyone can expect one battery replacement in their watch's lifespan. Except maybe Apple. After 5 years, the new Apple Watch might look more compelling when this model is no longer supported and this replaced battery is no longer holding a charge. But until then, I'm gonna keep using this because it's great. Thanks for not replacing this MAC address. If you want to watch another video we did on the Apple Watch, you can watch the one where I use this one, which is a cellular model, as my only mobile device for a week. The result was surprising. And I'm curious in the comments below how long you've been using your Apple Watches for and if you've replaced the battery.